Hey guys, D-Sol back here in the Nerd Cave. It's the night before Christmas Eve, and I figured, hey, you know what? Let me make a video of all the holiday movies I've been watching over the last couple of weeks. No one else is doing it on YouTube, right? But yeah, these are just some movies that I revisit every year, some movies that I'm just watching for the first time, and others that may or may not be Christmas movies. Some stuff up for debate. So just wanted to kind of jump in. This isn't going to be like a top 10 or 15 list. This is just pretty much things that I watch, that I like to watch every season, and some things that I watch, and it doesn't have to be during Christmas. So let's just get started with some of the things I actually don't have, some of the things I've watched that I've streamed over the last couple of weeks. There's only a few. The first one is something I watched on Netflix that I heard was really good. The wife actually watched it with me. She doesn't usually watch the horror movies with me, but it's Better Watch Out. I think it's a 2017 movie. It's on Netflix right now if you want to check it out. This was awesome. This, starts off in a particular way and then takes a massive left turn. It's in a good way. It's brutal in a good way. So I definitely recommend watching this. It's on, like I said, it's on Netflix. Awesome movie. Next one up is The Grinch Stole Christmas. Classic. It's from 2000. I've never actually sat and watched the whole thing, and I watched it this season with the kids, and there's so much adult humor in here that I was like, is this inappropriate? But it just kind of goes over the kids' heads, which is good. This is definitely one I'm going to kind of keep watching every year for sure now. And in fact, I'll probably want to pick up. I think they just released a 4K edition of this that I'm going to have to pick up now. And last is Babes in Toyland. I actually do have a physical copy of this, and it's right here. It's taped off of TV from like the 80s. This has Babes in Toyland and Teen Wolf. So this is a tape I've had forever. I love watching this version because it has all the sweet 80s commercials on here, and I'll never get rid of that. But yeah, Babes in Toyland with Keanu Reeves and a young Drew Barrymore and Pat Morita as the toy maker. So really weird. I think it was like a TV movie. Another one that's, I don't know if it holds up. I feel like you have to kind of grow up with this to really enjoy it. It's kind of cheesy. Again, I think it was a TV movie. I'm not really sure. At least like that's the quality that it looks like. But this is also on, I watched it this year on, I think it was on Amazon Prime. So check it out if you want to watch like a cheesy movie. So let's get into some of the physical stuff. And we'll start with the stuff I watched with the kids. Some classic kid stuff. First up, and I actually picked this up on my Black Friday haul this year, is the Blu-ray of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Really nice slip. I just figured I needed to have this in the collection. This was like $6 with the digital code. Pretty good edition. I watched it with the kids. They're used to watching the Benedict Cumberbatch one, the DreamWorks, I think, or Illumination cartoon one, which is really good actually. So when they watch this one, they're like, why does it look weird? But they definitely sat through the whole thing and enjoyed it. So it comes with a couple other things here. Not really going to get too much into the special features on these things, but definitely kind of a classic one to have. Next one up is the holiday collection of Peanuts. Yeah, this is hard for the kids to really pay attention to. I remember watching this as a kid and loving it. It was always cool when these cartoons were on during like prime time back in like the 80s and 90s, because you never really, until like The Simpsons and stuff, you never really had cartoons on like that late. So it was always like a special kind of thing to see that. So there's always like a special place, for these specials, the Halloween one and the Thanksgiving one. So we watch this every year, but it's, they're not that exciting, and the kids definitely kind of fade out watching these. And next two is the classic Christmas cartoon. So you have Rudolph, Frosty, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. That's this set. It's a 2-disc set. It's got some other ones too in here that I don't really watch too much. I really just got this for Frosty and Rudolph and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, I think, is on this one too. I don't really watch the Drummer Boy too much, but yeah, these are some of the classic, what are they, Rankin and Bass, I think, cartoons. Frosty is so weird, and I realized much later in life, I don't know if you've seen that movie, Microwave Massacre. There's an Arrow release of that. I'm watching that for the first time, and I'm like, wow, that guy's voice sounds really familiar. And then it hit me, holy crap, that's Frosty. I Googled it, and sure enough, the guy who was in Microwave Massacre voiced Frosty. So just kind of a random side note. And Frosty's really weird, like watching it now as an adult. Just, you can tell that the kids' voices, at least most of them, are just adults. And, you know, they do that now, clearly, like The Simpsons and stuff like that. They're all adults, but it's just terrible. It's these kids, and they're just like, oh, I love Frosty. What should we name him? Bruce? It's so terrible. Just watch it again. It's it's good bad, you know? It's just weird quality. But that's a whole reason why I love these. And also the stop motion animation on the others are awesome. Then I picked this up kind of as like a companion to it. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This is my first edition before I got the Blu-ray. Then it also has, I mostly picked this up, believe it or not, for Rudolph and Frosty, Frosty's Christmas in July. I remember watching that as a kid. I was never able to find it, and then this edition came out. Also has some other ones, Year Without Santa, which is pretty good, Jack Frost, which is really good. So, always revisit these every Christmas. And next one up is one of my favorites, HeMan and She-Ra Christmas Special. This is a really cool edition. It's got a ton of special features. This is the DVD. I don't think they ever came out with a Blu-ray of this. Nice fold out, and I think it has, yeah, it has like a book and some, well, not really a book, but just the chapters, I think. No, a little bit about it too, I guess, the special features. And it's got some art cards. Really, just a nice addition. But again, with this one, I do watch it on this edition. I don't want to, there we go. But I also watch it, where did it go, where did it go? Another one that I watch on tape. So this has Dumbo, the Muppet Movie, and HeMan Xmas. Again, taped off of TV with the 80s cartoons. This tape is just like watched so much. I mean, probably hundreds of times, if not more than that. Luckily, I've burned it onto a DVD just to kind of have for, you know, once this kind of burns out. But hey, listen, this is like the mid 80s and it's still going strong. So yeah, guys, that's the all the stuff, you know, the classic cartoons. So let's move on to some of the classic live action stuff. So unfortunately, this is the season of Hallmark, right? And of course, you can't get away from these Hallmark movies. I bought this kind of as a gag last year for my wife as a stocking stuffer. You can tell she hasn't even opened it, but it doesn't matter because her DVR is stuffed right now with 10 of these movies. Like every night she's recording another Christmas movie. We're well into February by the time she's done watching all these things. So it's just kind of an example of that. But let's kind of get into some more of the kind of live action classics. First up, of course, is Home Alone. I mean, this is a great movie. I've had this edition since I was a kid. My kids love this movie. We watch it. We don't have to watch it during Christmas, but we definitely watch it a couple times. Now that they're on Disney Plus, we've watched the first two a few times already. And I always have to remind them, if you get hit by a paint can, you will die. Do not push people off of roofs. You will be charged with murder. So I've had these conversations with my children with these movies, but definite classic. You can't go a holiday season without watching Home Alone, of course. Next up, and we knocked out all three of these movies. We just finished it, I believe, yesterday. And it's the Santa Claus trilogy. Here's I think this is a Best Buy steelbook. And first of all, awesome steelbook. But yeah, they're pretty good actually. Tim Allen, and there's 3 of them. It's the Santa Claus, Santa Claus 2, and Santa Claus the Escape Claus. I believe the first one was the late 90s. Santa Claus 2 was like 2002, and I think Santa Claus 3 was like 2012 or something like that, you know, a few years later. Martin Short is in the 3rd one. And, you know, the 3rd one's okay. The first one's great, but I actually like the 2nd one the best. My kids we watched them every, one a night for 3 nights, and they loved it. So this is definitely going to be one that we're going to rewatch every season. And it's another one where it has some adult humor in it as well. Speaking of adult humor, Christmas Vacation. This was almost going to be my favorite one. I'm leaving the favorite one to last. But this is up there. This might be a close second. This is definitely my favorite vacation movie. Probably a lot of people's favorite vacation movie. It's probably the most well done. The first one's a classic. I hate Vegas Vacation. I know a lot of people like it. My brother-in-law loves it, so he's gonna maybe give me a thumbs down on this video for that. But this is definitely the best one, in my opinion. And I definitely need to this is the DVD. I've had this forever. I definitely need to upgrade eventually. Next one up, another one that I should upgrade. I know Best Buy always has the steelbooks and Blu-rays for cheap around this time, is Elf. I mean, I'll watch this in July. I don't care. This is a hysterical movie, and another one with some pretty good adult humor in it. Enough where the kid kind of goes over the kids' heads. Will Ferrell, James Caan. I mean, excellent, excellent movie. So, I mean, you can't really say much more. And another one that I know it gets a lot of hate, but it's a classic, and it's on for 24 hours on Christmas, and it's A Christmas Story. This is a pretty decent edition. It's a 2-disc special edition DVD. Has some pretty decent, I think, special features on here. Probably ones I've never watched, to be honest with you. Again, I mean, you watch this like 1,000 times in one day, between I think it's between 2 different channels, has a song going on 24 hours. But I just realized my kids have never watched it, and it's it's something you have on in the background while you're opening up presents. And there we go. So listen, it's still a classic. So, and next classic, and I love this movie, and I always watch it. Do I watch it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? I always wait to watch Christmas Vacation on Christmas Eve, and I think I watched this right afterwards. And it's Wonderful Life. I got this edition last year. Awesome steelbook just came out this season, which is a bummer. I kind of wish they released that the same time they released this one, because I totally would have got the steelbook. But I'm not going to double dip this movie. But it's A Wonderful Life. It's just awesome 4K restoration on this one. Really good film. If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. That's all I have to say. It's really not much more. Just a total classic. Jimmy Stewart. And so here, guys, here's some of the classics. All right, so next I'm going to jump into the movies that are debatable if they're Christmas. I almost said Halloween. If they're Christmas movies or not. The first one is 100% a Christmas movie. I shouldn't even be putting this in the debatable section. My wife the other day said she didn't think it was a Christmas movie, but I think she'd said it just to mess with us. And that, of course, is Gremlins. I think this is the FYE Steelbook. This is an awesome movie by itself. I mean, you don't have to watch it on Christmas. You can watch it all year round. I actually watched it tonight. My kids watched it for the first time, and I built it up as a horror movie, so they're freaking out at first. The first part of the movie's fun, and then it is pretty scary at first, especially if you think about it for a kid, when they first, turn into the Gremlins. But then toward the end, it's just, they were even laughing, so they definitely enjoyed it, and they can't wait to watch the new batch, which I actually only have on Laserdisc. I don't know, I think it got a Blu-ray. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, so Gremlins, I mean, to me, This is 100% a Christmas movie. You can't really debate it. Next one up is Die Hard. And it's the Christmas sweater slip. Actually, I did not own Die Hard. Any of the Die Hard movies. And I was even surprised about that. So I picked this up the other day for I think it was like $6.99 at Best Buy. And yeah, I mean, the slip alone, it's got to tell you, it's a Christmas movie. I mean, I guess the debate here is that, sure, it takes place on Christmas Eve. He's in Los Angeles because of a Christmas party that he was invited to by his wife. There's that famous scene where, when he gets the machine gun, he says, "Now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho." There's Christmas music playing in the background. So, I mean, for those reasons, sure, it could be a Christmas movie, but I don't have to watch it on Christmas. I think this is one where it kind of falls into people are pushing hard for this to be a Christmas movie. Like Gremlins, it's 100% a Christmas movie. It takes place over Christmas. Yeah, this takes place over Christmas, but Gizmo was a Christmas present. Essentially, this movie, Gremlins, was a Christmas present that went totally wrong. So it's a 100% a Christmas movie. The Gremlins are caroling, so here it's just circumstance that happens over Christmas. Listen, I'm not going to fight. I love this movie. It's a great movie regardless. If you want to call it a Christmas movie, I'm not going to argue with you, but I feel like this is one where they kind of push it a little too hard. This one, and I never thought of this one as a Christmas movie, and a lot of people just, I guess, have started, especially now with all these videos coming out about what you watch during Christmas, and it's Trading Places. And this was actually on my Christmas list. Hopefully I got it. If not, I'm sure I'll have some Amazon gift cards to pick it up. The new Paramount Presents, I think, came out with an edition. So this is my old, I love the 80s DVD version. Great movie. I mean, another one where you can watch anytime. But, this movie goes over it's not like a Christmas movie where it only happens over Christmas. It takes place over a certain amount of time, and it just happens to go through Christmas. And there's a scene where clearly, that scene where with Dan Aykroyd dressed up like Santa and just totally wasted and a mess. That's a scene of a movie that takes place over Christmas. So I'd have to say this isn't a Christmas movie. I mean, listen, I used it as an example to watch it. An example and an excuse to watch it, but I can watch this anytime. So, yeah, I'm going to say no. Not a Christmas movie. Definitely a Christmas movie. Sure. Like I said, I'm cool either way. I'm sure there's a bunch of others. I've heard of some others that are just kind of a stretch that I can't even think of right now. But here are the three that I thought of. Let me know in the comments below what you think. So here's the possibly, maybe, not really Christmas movies. Okay, guys, next up is the horror movies. The things that I watch, the horror-based Christmas movies. And first up is from a new DVD set I got last month during my pickups, and it's Tales from the Crypt. And the first episode is, what is it called? Well, here it is right here. You can see it. Where it's a madman that escapes from a mental institution. And that's, I think, the first... Come on. Yeah, no, it's the second episode. And all through the house. Yeah, just a great episode. Listen, Tales from the Crypt is awesome. I watched that one, and I ended up, before I knew it, just watching the whole disc. So, it's a Christmas episode of an anthology series that's pretty good. It's probably the better version of a lot of these types of movies. And we'll just jump right to the next one. It's a Vinegar Syndrome release. Christmas Evil. Awesome slip. But this is a good movie. This is kind of like a poor man's version of, I guess, Silent Night, Deadly Night. But it's maybe not just as good, but it's pretty decent. It's pretty much a kid who sees, I think it's his father, dressed up like Santa, but he really thinks it's Santa, and he's canoodling with his mother. That's the scientific term. Canoodling with his mother, and I think it scars him for life. And then he later dresses up like Santa, and those who are naughty, he he kills a bunch of adults, and the kids that are naughty gets them. I think he gives them coal. I forget exactly. I watched it for the first time last year. I haven't watched it yet this season. Maybe I'll throw it in tonight, but Christmas Evil. And speaking of Silent Night, Deadly Night, we have Silent Deadly Night 1 and 2. As you know, 2 is essentially... you can just watch part 2 and not watch part 1. I think part 1 is the better movie. I think this may have been the first time I watched the whole thing in quite some time. And yeah, it's good. Linnea Quigley's in it. It's a classic horror movie. 2 is... And this passes as like a decent horror movie. This is just terrible. So you all know this, and like at least a quarter, if not half of the movie is just flashbacks of part 1, essentially. In fact, I watched this one, and then this I watched, and I fast-forwarded through most of the flashbacks, and it becomes like a 35-minute movie. This is the famous garbage day scene. But yeah, no, it's still good. If you can only buy one, and you like that cheese factor, then yeah, go for Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. I mean, like I said, it's almost the first 2 movies in one. And last up is another Vinegar Syndrome release. Wish I had the slip for this one. And it's Jack Frost, not to be confused with Jack Frost. Feel bad for any kid that wanted to get the Michael Keaton movie and ended up getting this instead. This was surprisingly good. I never actually watched it until a couple nights ago. And it's another one where the wife stayed up and watched it, and it's just ridiculous, but in a good way. It's like, it's so bad it's good kind of movie. There's a young Shannon Elizabeth in this. There's just a little bit about it. Yeah, I mean, they're fighting it with hair dryer, and there's Shannon Elizabeth right there. It's just so cheesy, but it's actually way better than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, and I know there's a sequel that I haven't seen. This is also available if you have Prime. It's also available if you want to go check it out. So yeah, that's all of the horror. Next up is the last one, and it's my favorite. Okay, so this is by far my favorite. This might be like in my top 10 movies of all time, regardless of it being a Christmas movie. And it's your classic Christmas Carol story. It's set in the 80s with one of the best 80s or just best actors around. And of course, you know what I'm talking about. Scrooged. I literally can watch this any time of the year. It doesn't have to be for Christmas. This is definitely a movie that, you know, I don't know if I'd call it a kid's movie. I mean, I've let my kids watch this. There's some scenes that are a little iffy, but you know, like the nipple scenes, so I've kind of, I've fast forwarded through that kind of stuff. You know, you can barely see those nipples, and they're really looking. So yeah, no, great movie. One of the best Bill Murray movies. I'd if you put Ghostbusters and this in front of me, I'm gonna grab this almost every time. A lot of adult humor. It's some lines that, you know, when I first watched it as a kid, you don't get until later on. Like that scene when he thinks the waiter's on fire and douses water on him, and his reaction is, I'm sorry, I thought you were Richard Pryor. I never knew what that meant. I never knew what that meant until years later when you know, if you know about Richard Pryor, he set himself on fire. And I don't know if it was around that time. I think this movie was like, I think 88, 87, 88. Boom. Richard Donner movie. And it dates itself a little bit. You know, with the VHS player, with the a lot of stuff about about like South Africa, about apartheid, some like random stuff in the background, so some like political stuff in there. You got Bobcat Goldthwait, just phenomenal. You got pretty much all the Murrays in there. In that one scene, it's the guy who plays his brother is his real brother, and the other one that's playing, what is it, Trivial Pursuit or whatever that is, was his other brother. And the guy who was his father, I'm saying the guy, I'm really bad with names. The guy who played his father is his other brother. So it's just, I think all of the Murrays was in this movie, but just phenomenal, phenomenal movie. Let me know, guys, in the comments below, what is your favorite movie of the season? Mine is definitely Scrooged. Okay, guys, so here's everything I watched this season. Maybe one or two that I haven't watched yet that I'm going to watch over the next day or two. Maybe I'll cheat and watch them, before the new year. So yeah, again, let me know in the comments below. What have you watched over the season? What are your favorite ones? What are some movies that aren't, typical Christmas movies that you think are Christmas movies? Feel free to comment below. I know a lot of people watch the Lord of the Rings movies over Christmas, because they were released around that time, so they kind of have that nostalgic feeling about it being a December movie. Is that really, so is there a difference between a December movie versus a Christmas movie? Let me know what you think. Until next time, guys, happy holidays from the Nerd Cave.